Taylor Swift is often sold as pop music's most relatable billionaire, the girl with a guitar, a diary, and a Christmas tree farm who somehow rose to the very top. It's a compelling story, but it doesn't tell the whole truth. Behind the image of accidental success lies a far more calculated reality, one shaped by wealth, relentless networking, strategic storytelling, and even a leaked email that pulls back the curtain on how fame is really built. This isn't to deny Taylor's talent or work ethic. She has both in abundance. It's about understanding what happens when raw ambition meets money, timing, and parents who approach the music industry like a chessboard. The revelation begins with an email written by Taylor's father, Scott Swift, during a legal dispute with her former manager. Originally never intended for public eyes, the email is long, emotional, defensive, and filled with specifics that illuminate just how meticulously Taylor's early career was orchestrated. Scott doesn't present himself as a proud parent cheering from the sidelines. He frames himself as the architect behind her rise. Within the email, he recounts favors traded, relationships leveraged, money spent, and doors forced open, all executed with the persistence of someone who wants the record set straight. Reading it feels less like a dad boasting and more like a project manager furious that credit hasn't been assigned properly. Taylor Swift did not stumble into fame by accident. Her career was not the result of luck or fate. It happened because her parents treated it as a long-term business plan. Scott Swift, a senior executive at Merrill Lynch managing hundreds of millions of dollars and high-net-worth clients, applied the same strategic precision to navigating the music industry that he did to managing money. Andrea Swift also came from a corporate background, so Taylor's parents weren't strangers to power, negotiation, or branding. When Taylor showed an early interest in music, they didn't sit back and hope raw talent would carry her. They mobilized strategically. The family relocated to Nashville, invested in demos, lessons, travel, and promotion, and even went so far as having Scott make his investment clients listen to Taylor's music before financial meetings. Imagine trying to discuss retirement planning while your banker presses play on his daughter's latest song. Bold, absolutely. Effective, without question. While most aspiring artists knock on doors, Taylor's parents already had the keys. The Christmas tree farm narrative that has become a hallmark of her image is technically true. The family did own land where Christmas trees were grown. What often gets left out is that they also owned multiple properties and lived comfortably. Scott Swift himself belonged to the top financial tier and referenced it proudly. The point isn't that Taylor grew up with privilege, many artists do, but that the public story heavily emphasized humble beginnings, quietly downplaying the wealth, access, and connections that smoothed her path. A rich kid with industry-savvy parents doesn't sell as easily as a small-town girl chasing her dreams, and the industry knows which version captures the imagination. The leaked email makes one thing very clear. Scott Swift wanted recognition, and plenty of it. He meticulously documented nearly every opportunity Taylor received in her early career and traced it back to his influence. Father, financier, and unofficial manager, Scott positioned himself as the engine driving the rise of one of pop music's biggest stars. Performances, introductions, press coverage, industry access. According to Scott Swift, none of it happened without his involvement. He casts himself as the man doing the hard, behind-the-scenes work while others enjoyed the spotlight. At times, it's undeniably impressive. The man hustled relentlessly to open doors and create opportunities. At other times, it feels uncomfortable. The tone of his email veers into bitterness, resentment, and an insistent need for validation that goes far beyond typical parental pride. This wasn't just support, it was ownership. Reading the email, it feels less like a dad helping his child and more like someone demanding eternal gratitude and public credit for constructing a career from the ground up. While Scott managed the strategy and capital, Andrea Swift oversaw Taylor's daily life, image, and discipline. Accounts from those who worked closely with the family describe Andrea as intensely involved, highly controlling, and deeply committed to maintaining momentum. Deadlines mattered, presentation mattered, and compliance mattered. Everything revolved around keeping Taylor on track and marketable. This level of oversight undoubtedly shielded Taylor from certain pitfalls, but it also left very little space for her to exist outside the brand her parents were shaping. Together, Scott and Andrea operated like a corporate structure. One handled strategy and resources, the other managed operations and enforcement. Taylor wasn't just their daughter, she was the company, even the stories that have taken on a life of their own, like the charming tale of a computer repairman teaching her guitar after noticing an instrument in her home, are carefully curated. In reality, Ronnie Kramer, the man in question, had been hired specifically to teach Taylor guitar and songwriting. The myth feels cinematic and magical, but the truth underscores a reality where talent was nurtured, guided, and engineered with precision. Lessons with professional instructors took place consistently for over a year. The charming story of a random computer repairman teaching Taylor guitar came much later. This doesn't diminish her effort or learning. It simply replaces a narrative of magical coincidence with one of paid, deliberate instruction, which, of course, doesn't make for as compelling an interview soundbite. The reality of branding, ambition, and strategy even reached the family dinner table. Taylor has spoken openly about her struggles with body image and disordered eating, particularly during the peak years of her fame, when cameras seemed to follow her like unpaid interns. Even more difficult to confront is how early those pressures may have started and how intimately they were tied to home life. Accounts from people who worked with or around the Swift family suggest that appearance, discipline, and marketability weren't just concerns discussed in boardrooms or label offices, they were a daily part of life. Food choices, weight, and presentation weren't casual topics about health, they were strategic considerations, the way brands talk about optics. Taylor later acknowledged periods of extreme restriction and obsessive exercise, driven by public scrutiny and relentless expectations to maintain a certain image at all times. When the success of a child becomes the central identity of an entire household, even love can feel conditional, not cruelly, but quietly transactional. Meals stop being meals and start feeling like performance reviews. Hollywood doesn't reward innocence, it rewards strategy. And one of the most uncomfortable truths revealed here is that the Swift family didn't cheat the system or bend the rules. They played it perfectly. The entertainment industry is not a meritocracy where the best singer automatically wins. It rewards preparation, planning, and relentless execution. The music industry is an ecosystem built on access, leverage, timing, relationships, and narrative control. Talent is required, yes, but talent alone is rarely enough. Taylor Swift's parents understood this long before most aspiring artists learn it the hard way, usually while waiting in line for auditions that go nowhere. They didn't wait for opportunity, they engineered proximity to it. Taylor didn't succeed despite the system, she succeeded because her family mastered it. The real shock isn't that she had help. It's how much help is actually required to reach that level, and how carefully the industry avoids discussing it. Worked tirelessly with elite backing doesn't fit neatly on a Grammy acceptance speech, but it's part of the story. Taylor Swift is undeniably talented, disciplined, obsessive about her craft, and constantly evolving in ways few artists sustain over decades. None of that is up for debate, but her success was also carefully, strategically, and relentlessly shaped by parents who treated her career less like a hobby and more like a long-term investment portfolio with global growth potential. This doesn't make Taylor fake. It makes her a product of an industry that demands perfection long before it offers protection. An industry where planning, sacrifice, and control are the entry fees, not bonus perks. The tragedy isn't that Taylor had support. It's that reaching this level of success seems to require orchestration so total that it leaves very little room for a normal childhood, normal mistakes, or normal autonomy.